Your prayers are always answered. God, Spirit Source, wants you to win, wants you to have what it is you want to have, especially when it's going to serve life through you. So when you pray, when you ask for something, it's always going to be answered. It's always going to be given. Your prayer, right, is like a signal sent out. It's an electrical impulse that goes out in thought, goes out to all of the universe, and pulls towards it the solutions, the answers, the ways, and the means. This video is 5 truths about prayer and provision to help you believe and therefore be receptive to receiving what it is you ask for. To be clear, we're using the word prayer in a very specific way here. I'm using it actually non-religiously, non-denominationally. We're thinking about prayer like this. It's every thought, belief, feeling that you hold and allow to occupy space and give your attention to. Because all of those things, every thought that you have, is a signal that goes out from you. Thought has power. We know this. I'm not going to go into the study of this, right? But there is so much science behind this, behind the electrical impulses generated by your thoughts. We live in an electrical universe. We live in a universe of energy. And again, I'm not going to go into the specifics of this. Go study. But when you have a thought, it is measurable. It goes out into the world. It goes out into the universe. And we know that by physics, right? Like attracts like. So it finds energy, including people, places, things, that match its frequency and bring those things to you. So this is science. It's science I'm not going to get into, but this isn't some crazy woo-woo stuff. This is demonstrable. This is measurable. So what I am calling prayer is every signal we send out from our heart and from our mind to God, to Spirit, to Source. So we want to be very mindful, of course, of what we think, what we feel, what we focus on, because all of those things are prayers sent out that will come back to us. And of course, the more intentional the prayer, when you are focused and you actually ask God for something, that's the kind of prayer we're really talking about today. So please remember this, right? God wants you to win. God wants you to succeed. God wants you to be, do, or have all of the things that will bring you joy and bring you fulfillment and bring you peace. Why? Because those things are part of your divine design. They're part of the makeup of who you are. So when you be, do, or have those things, right, they are serving life through you. Like you have the desire to begin with, because the fulfillment of that desire would serve all of life through you. The more you grow and expand, the more you express who you truly are, the more life is blessed through you. So God wants you to win. God wants you to have those things. And I love this quote. As I was preparing for this video, I was thinking about this quote and I had to look it up. I'm going to read it specifically to you. It's from The Science of Getting Rich from Wallace Wattles. And he says this: substance, or God, is friendly to you and is more anxious to give you what you want than you are to get it. Substance, or God, is friendly to you and is more anxious to give you what you want than you are to get it. That's so beautiful. So you can breathe and relax and know that God, substance, creative intelligence, wants you to have the thing you want. So much so, it what's the word I'm looking for? Exceeds your desire to even have that thing. So imagine how strongly you want the thing you want. God, who's omnipotent, everywhere, all the time, wants you to have that more than you do. So relax. It's not on you to go create it. It's on you to ask, to tend your internal landscape, to be receptive, and then to receive. So all prayers are answered. And here's the kicker, and this is what this whole video is about. Sometimes the way in which the prayer is answered looks like defeat. It looks like a challenge. It looks like misfortune. It looks like fear and doubt and worry and anxiety. It looks like a bunch of stuff unfolding in your life, your relationships, your businesses that you do not prefer, and to the untrained eye look like maybe the exact opposite of what you've asked for. So we're going to use this as the baseline. When you pray, believe that your prayer is answered. Start to believe that what shows up around you is the answer to that prayer even if it looks like the exact opposite. All right, so we have these core desires that are part of like our divine design, our spiritual DNA. We want these things because the path to those things and the experience of having those things is an expression of a deeper part of ourselves, and it allows us to go serve life at a higher level. So this is connected to our divine essence, right? To who we really are as a soul. And we all have this ego. We all have this part of ourselves that's just trying to preserve safety, that's just trying to preserve comfort all the time. The ego, all it wants to do is preserve itself. It's not worried about growth. It doesn't care about you being the best version of yourself. It wants what it wants, and what it primarily wants is safety and comfort. And it will do absolutely anything it can, including completely hijack your thinking, to get you those things. So you have the ego on one hand, and you have divine intelligence that lives inside you and through you on the other. Ego operates like this. We have a prayer. Let's say we have a real desire for something. Ego operates like this. It goes, this is what I want. This is exactly how I want this thing to come. This is exactly what it has to look like, and I want it now, right now. I don't care. I want it now, and I want it to look like this, which is a pretty closed perspective. So the ego wants it the way it wants it for comfort. It doesn't want to have to change. It doesn't want to have growth occur. It doesn't want to step into the unknown. It wants it the way it wants it, and it wants it now, so it doesn't have to change, and so your circumstances don't change. The problem with this, right, is God operating to and through you sees the best way to deliver this thing to you, sees the way that you're going to receive it. Whoopsie daisy. Sees the way that you're going to receive it most easily and most effectively. So remember, you have a prayer, it's always answered. It's always given. The next step is always given. But the ego won't even see the answer, won't even see the prayer received, the thing received, unless it looks exactly the way the ego wants it to. Like the ego, if you want money, for example, you want $50,000 right now. The ego wants to look up and see that money drop through the ceiling into your lap without anything else occurring. Which, listen, I'm not going to say that's impossible. All things are possible. It's unlikely, though. So let's say you ask for that $50,000. God is orchestrating that thing to get to you. But unless it gets to you in the way the ego wants, the ego won't even recognize it showing up. It can't even see it, let alone receive it. It can't even see it unless it looks exactly the way the ego wants it to look. It can't accept another way because it would have to change and grow to accept it. The way the ego functions often leads to a pretty challenging and pretty painful moment, which is like you ask for something, you pray for something, and because it didn't arrive the way you wanted it to, it looks like, and the ego translates it as, my prayer wasn't answered. The truth is, God immediately answered your prayer and sent you the next step and sent you the way. It just looked very different than what the ego expected. And if the ego is allowed to run with that, it leads to potentially, God's not listening. I'm not worthy of receiving what I want. I am all alone, or there is no way forward. There is no way to be, do, or have what I really want. That's a very painful conclusion. Now, if ego is functioning like that, you have divine intelligence functioning on the other side of things. And divine intelligence is operating and looking like this. Divine intelligence says yes, and it sees the entire picture. When you ask for something, it says yes. And because it sees the whole picture, it sees the perfect way to bring you what you want. And what does the perfect way include? Everything that would help you grow into the version of yourself that A, can actually receive what it is you've asked for, like won't reject it outright, and B, can actually hold on to the thing, not receive it and then feel overwhelmed or unworthy, so you sabotage it and reject it. So divine intelligence says yes, prayer answered, I got you, and goes, okay, I see the whole scope here, and I see that in order for you to actually receive and enjoy and hold on to the thing you're asking for, this and this and this is going to have to shift and change and grow inside of you. So before it maybe sends you, let's say, the $50,000, it sends you experiences to hone, to craft, and to guide you into the version of yourself that can actually receive it. And this is so important because the experiences that will hone and craft and guide you are often ones that are very painful and uncomfortable to the ego. They're ones that require you to change. They're ones that require you to grow. They require you to look at, to confront, to heal, and to love the parts of you that you have held in the shadows. It's those very parts that have made it difficult to receive the thing you want in the first place. So divine intelligence goes, okay, I got you. Of course, here you go. Here's exactly what will need to occur in your life to poke at, to spur, to reveal the changes that need to occur in you and to set you on this path of awareness, of revelation, of healing. But what that looks like to the ego is maybe relationships crumbling, painful memories coming up, clients leaving, changes occurring that you really don't want. You get the point here. It's the stuff we most fear that we don't want to have happen or have to look at. It's often that stuff that comes up. And the ego goes, A, this is terrible. I don't want this. And B, what the hell, man? I prayed for this thing and I'm getting what looks like the exact opposite. And then it goes down this narrative, this low self-esteem narrative, this low self-worth narrative. God must not answer. I must be alone. I don't deserve the thing I want, etc. And it's heartbreaking to see because the truth is the exact opposite. God's already answered. God has provided the perfect way, but the perfect way requires you to grow and change and to expand, to love and to heal the parts of you that you have kept in the shadows and judged as unlovable, as unworthy of your attention and your time. So I hope this is really clear what we're getting at. You ask for something, the way is given immediately. And that way often looks like challenge, like pain, like defeat, like misfortune, because you're so loved and God's guidance of you is so perfect that you're not only being given the thing you've asked for, you're being prepared so you can both receive, enjoy, and have, like hold on to, the thing you've actually asked for. God doesn't want to just give you the $50,000, for instance. God wants you to be able to receive it, to enjoy it, to use it, to circulate it in the most joyous of ways. Therefore, you're going to have to grow first. So part of the shift here, and I think the most important part, is not only recognizing that your prayers are answered. I want you to know that, of course. But to see that whatever shows up next is the exact right way to get there, is the exact right way for your prayer to be received, for you to be, do, or have the thing you've asked for. And I want to share a couple of stories with you guys because I think stories speak to a very deep part of us. They go past like the intellect, past the conscious mind, and go deep into the subconscious, and they create change. I was just thinking about, as I was preparing for this video, I was thinking about one of my clients who for, I'm going to say 2 years, I think that's a fair estimate, has been praying in different moments and asking in different moments to have a certain relationship healed in her life, to have that relationship flourish. And for a while, it looked like it was going almost the opposite way, like it was getting worse and it was getting worse and the pathway to it was getting harder and harder, like it felt farther away. What was really going on, though, was she was being asked and given the opportunity to grow into the version of herself that could actually show up to hold and to nurture and to shepherd that particular relationship. So for a while, she felt like she was in the wilderness. For a while, she was like, holy crap, why is all of this stuff going on for me? Why am I suffering in this way? Why am I going through these experiences that seem like things are being ripped away from me? Why am I going through this stuff that seems so challenging? And she had this real wake-up moment and going, oh my God, I was being prepared to receive the very thing I asked for and so much more. And guess what? Now that relationship is flourishing, is thriving, and she's able to show up for it in a way she never had been able to before. She had to rise to be that version of herself. I was thinking of a story in myself, in my own life, that happened a while back that I also think speaks to this. There was a certain time where I knew it was time for a huge self-esteem upgrade. I could tell just like the story I was still telling about myself, even after years of personal work, was outdated, outmoded. It wasn't allowing me to really grow and to live the life and run the business I wanted to. So I knew this upgrade it was time. And if I'm being honest, I was terrified of it. I really didn't want to have to go through it. I didn't even know what going through it meant, but this part of me was like, oh, no, you don't. We are not looking at this, man. But I prayed, and I persevered, and I moved forward. And what happened over the next bunch of months was a lot of seeming loss, a lot of things being ripped away in my life, in my business, in my relationship, in my health even. It was one of the most painful periods of my life, sustained over months. And I definitely had moments where I was like, what is going on here? This is so intense. But I kept coming back to that prayer and going, I know what I asked for here, so I'm going to choose faith. I'm going to choose trust. I'm going to choose to look back at the truth, which is that God's answering this prayer and I'm being guided somewhere beautiful, somewhere glorious. So while those experiences were so painful, what they really did for me was strip me of my illusion, of my attachment, that all these things I had been holding on to in my life, business, relationship as I would say the sources of my self-esteem, or at least pillars to my self-esteem, as those things were ripped away, and they were painful, and I had to grieve and go through it. But eventually, while those things were gone, I looked around at a certain point and I was like, I'm still here. My value didn't come from those things. And I sort of rebuilt that self-esteem from the ground floor up. And it was incredible. So I got the very thing I asked for, a higher level of peace and joy and comfort and worth within myself than I'd ever experienced before. But it came through a series of experiences that looked and felt devastating. One more success story or example here from another client who came to me. There were many things this person wanted in their life and business, very clear external goals. And fundamentally, they knew that this was going to come from a deeper level of self-love and self-acceptance, allowing themselves to see themselves as perfect exactly the way they are. So as we got into this work, things started to fall away in this person's life and business in some very, very challenging ways, in some very lonely feeling ways. And they stuck with it. They were steadfast in their belief. They faced the darkness and the pain within with love and acceptance and expansion. And they started to feel this robust sense of self-acceptance. That's still growing to this day. And it ultimately led to these external goals, like tripling the income in 30 days, building different arms of their business. All these amazing things started to happen. But they had to be willing to go through what seemed like the darkness first. And in all these stories, I hope it's really clear, the darkness is just God answering the prayer, but it's going through that growth phase that feels so uncomfortable. This whole video is leading to this point, leading to these 5 truths about provision and prayer. These 5 truths about who you are in relationship to God in your life. These 5 truths about the way that when you ask for something that you have a true desire for, it is always given, and the way in which it is both given and received. So first, God always makes a way. God always makes a way. So if you hold this as a core truth, that means when you pray for something, when you truly want something, and you're committed to experiencing it, to receiving it, to having it, you don't have to be the one to go create the way. It's not on your shoulders. That's God's job, and God is happy to do it. God's always going to do it. So it's not your job to go intellectualize and figure this out. It's your job to relax enough, to trust enough, to surrender enough to be willing to see the way. It also means this, that whatever starts to show up in your life, your business, your relationships, after you pray, after you ask for the thing, It is part of the way that God has provided. Whether or not you can logically see that, you can trust. And this makes everything that happens after that so much easier. Truth number 2, the thing you want that you are asking for is not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is who you become on the path to receiving that thing. The ultimate goal is who you become. That desire to be, do, or have, whatever it is that you want to be, do, or have, it's like a trail on a treasure map. You think the treasure is the thing. The treasure is who you become. Because guess what? At a certain point, the thing that you've asked for might fall away. You might realize I have no need for this thing anymore. But that doesn't mean the journey has been wasted. Why? Because you have grown in a way that has changed you forever. And it's that version of yourself that's going to go on the next journey in your quest. That's going to be the one who leads in this new path to wherever you're going next. The whole idea of even being in a body on planet Earth is for you to grow and to evolve in your understanding of yourself, your understanding of that which created you, and to open up in your relationship between the two. Truth number 3, you must be willing to be wrong. You must be willing to be wrong. Not wrong in who you are, not wrong in your sense of your own worth or value, nothing like that. But wrong in the sense that your ego has a way that it wants what it's asked for. It has the perfect idea, so it seems, of the way that that thing should come, and it doesn't want to accept any other way. So you might want the thing to arrive at your door right now while you're watching this video. And maybe it can happen that way. But what if God has a far better way of bringing you that thing? If you're not willing to be wrong, you will reject the way that God tries to bring it to you. And then you will take that rejection and make the entire thing wrong, make yourself wrong, and dig yourself into a deeper hole. I don't want that for you. You've been down that road. We all have, and it is pretty miserable to live down there. You must be willing to be wrong, which might sound scary, but it can also be a breath of fresh air. I don't have to know the way. I don't have to be right. I don't have to fight to prove these things that I think are true. I can relax and allow the way to be shown to me. What a relief. Truth number 4. The opportunity to be, do, or have what you want must be around you right now. The opportunity must be around you right now. You may not be able to see it. You may not be able to perceive it with your conscious mind, but trust that the opportunity is around you right now. Why is that valuable? Why is that important? Well, because first of all, it doesn't leave you guessing and going, is there a way? Absolutely, there's a way. You never have to worry about that again. God always makes a way. Second, it takes time out of it. Your mind might go, well, I could have that $50,000 or whatever, but it's going to take 6 months or whatever. Whatever your mind thinks, we're allowing the mind to just let go of that and go, the truth is the opportunity has to be here right now because God's here right now. And the opportunity is within God. It can't exist outside of God. So what that means, right, is instead of trying to figure it out, instead of trying to effort and find it, if we don't see the opportunity yet, if you don't see the opportunity yet, go within. Ask yourself, what has to change within me to be able or willing to see the opportunity? And that's different for every single person. But if you start to ask these kind of questions, you'll get an answer from yourself. Another one is, how can I allow this to be easy? Where is it I might be able to let go and allow the opportunity to come to me? What's the thing I least want to have to do? The answer might be there. There's so many amazing questions you can ask yourself, and those questions have to rest on this foundation that the opportunity must already be here. Truth number 5, the story you tell yourself is the epicenter of your experience. The story you tell yourself is the epicenter of your experience. Whatever the story is that you tell yourself dictates how you see yourself and the world around you. It will control how and if you can see the opportunities to move forward. And it will also control the way in which you move forward or do not move forward. So the main idea here is to upgrade your story about yourself and the world around you. For instance, there's many embedded in this video, but for instance, my prayers are always answered. I'm already enough. I'm already worthy. God is going to show me the way that God has made. The opportunities are already here. God's by my side. I am being crafted lovingly, beautifully, perfectly into the version of myself that gets to have what I want. So we could do, and I really have done many videos just about this one truth, about the story you tell yourself being the epicenter of your experience, creating your entire experience of the world. So you can go refer to those, but here I'll just say, make it your mission to upgrade the story you tell about yourself, to make it easier, quicker, more graceful, and more elegant to receive what it is you've asked for. And I'll close with this. This is like a bonus truth, okay? Your prayers are always answered, and you will get what you've asked for, or something even better. Again, God sees the way to give you what you want, and God also can see the ways you might be dreaming or asking small. This is why it's so important to be willing to be wrong. This is why it's so important to be willing to upgrade the story you tell about yourself, so you can expand what you're willing to receive. What if you ask for 50,000, but God wants to bring you 100,000? What if you ask to date a better person, but God wants to bring you the love of your life? You see these upgrades available. So change your story, keep your heart and your mind open, knowing that God not only is going to answer you, God's going to bring you what you've asked for, or something so much better.